Welcome to Gen Z Journey. So yes, together with us here today is Min Yao. Min Yao is born in Malaysia in the year 1997. He studied applied psychology and management in University of Nottingham, and currently he's working in Samsung. He did a lot of emceeing from university to his current job, and he's self-described as an introspective, sensitive, and innately vivid person. Very interesting. Yes. Anything that I missed out that you would like to add on, Min Yao?
So far, so good. Maybe you'll get to know me more later when I describe more about my experiences and so on. And I think overall, just really grateful and thankful to be here with Andrew, just to share a little bit about my past and possibly my future. And also, I've always wanted to try a podcast, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think grateful for the opportunity presented to me. And yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us more about why you always wanted to try out a podcast?
I think overall I always enjoyed talking, especially when it comes to the topics that I'm interested in. I've always been interested in psychology, philosophy, um, yeah, I think things related to that, or even games where the
Mhm.
ones that I used to play, right? I mean, basically things that I'm passionate about, right? I'm pretty sure that applies to a lot of people. So yeah,
Okay, interesting. Would you say that you are an introvert?
yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I guess according to the norm um, that defines what introverts are, they probably say like people who usually need to recharge after socializing, or people that
Mm.
prefer, I guess, in a way, um, people that are thinkers, or people that prefer to introspect a lot. Um, so I would think I resonate more with being an introvert.
I
But I
see.
think through time, there is a need to socialize as well. There's a need for introverts to actually learn how to engage with people, learn to kind of interact with new people, meet new people, and grow your community as long as they are the people that resonate with you.
Mhm.
So, in a way, when it comes to, I mean, I don't want to elaborate on this, where, I mean, I used to think that introverts are kind of on the losing side, I would say,
Mhm.
because in this world, things are always striving upon socializing with people, right? And like when it comes to businesses, it's always about networking, right? Like who you know.
Yes.
And I always felt like I'm on the losing end. But I think I've come to appreciate being an introvert because there's always this part of me that likes to think a lot. So basically reflect on my day, you know. So let's say today, this morning, what did I do? And this afternoon, what did I do? You know, what did I do well? What could I have done better? And I always enjoy kind of swimming in my own thoughts.
Mhm.
Sometimes swimming in my own negative thoughts isn't so
Oh,
good, right?
I totally understand
Um,
that.
Correct. And I think there comes a time where, you slowly grasp how you want to navigate through your thoughts and learn how to manage them. And I think always thinking about what you're thinking is gonna somehow, in a way, if you're going into the right direction, it's gonna push you to learn more about your thoughts, your emotions, and
Mm.
I think now it's like I realize that it's starting to have a positive impact where I am able to reframe in a positive way. I
Mhm.
think that's the direction that I want to head towards, while also incorporating um, or embracing the introvert sides, where I love to connect with people, especially like
Mhm.
one-on-one situation. I think this is something that I realized recently where I prefer like one-to-one interactions more than like a group setting because at a group level, things tend to go a little bit shallow. Like what you guys talk about and stuff. So I prefer to connect with the person one-on-one and just embracing that introvert side while also knowing that there is a need to socialize, and that's where think these are the things that I have to learn how to socialize, and I think it's more of embracing both sides of things. Yeah.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, just now you mentioned that like needing to learn how to socialize and all that. But then the fact that you have been a really good MC, because like for context, Minya is actually my senior, and then we met in Youth Entrepreneur Society in
Yep.
University of Nottingham, and then saw him doing MC and all that. I was like, wow, it's like totally another level. So like yeah, how did you become an MC? Like, being an being an introvert, and then you said you need socializing and all that. So how did you do that, and how did you do so well in it?
I think I did it so well. I think it's like an overstatement. I mean, I'm just doing my best, I guess. Um, I remember it was 2016, 2015, 2016, where I was in my foundation year, and I think I got a
Mm,
chance to actually be the MC. Um, the reason why I was interested initially was because I think I've always also liked to talk in a way. And I think the first experience that I had so much fun engaging with the crowd, especially because when you get an engaging crowd that kind of follows what you not really told them, but yeah, basically being very engaging with you, that kind of energy, it kind of energizes you. And I think from there on, I was very interested in kind of bringing this energy into the event itself, every event. And I think consequently, I got the chance to actually do more. And I found that, oh, actually, I am quite interested and I do find it quite fun to MC.
mhm,
And even I think outside of uni as well, I've done two freelance jobs. Um, I think even when I was interning in Shopee, I was also
mhm,
emceeing for their internal events. Um, when I'm like currently in Samsung, I've also emceed for two other events as well, internal ones, which yeah, I think it's pretty fun. Like especially when it comes to introducing people, it's always it's like you're kind of hyping things up, and I think it's always yeah very fun to do that. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Because like you said definitely, and I know everyone when they try to do things, they try to do their best, and but like your experiences have shown that definitely it's a certain kind of validation where you got freelance job and then like intern or even your current work, you are recognized as being the MC as well. Definitely, yeah, you have a certain skill that definitely shine in this aspect.
Maybe.
But yes, earlier when we go back to talking about why you want to join podcasts, you talk about you really love to dive into your own thoughts and all that. Is that why you chose the applied psychology pathway, or is it something else that made you chose that?
Uh, I I mean, when thinking about it, I feel like it's something else. I
Mm,
think going back to my childhood or how I have grown up since young, I've always been very interested in things around me. Like why I remember when I was like kindergarten age, I was asking like, oh,
wow.
why is the sky blue? Why is the water blue? And of course, like my dad would kind of just shrug me aside, like he doesn't have an answer for that. So I think past that age, when I didn't know back then, where I was quite sensitive as a kid,
Mm,
or I was quite emotional and stuff. Because I think as a male or as a boy, it's not really common to be emotional or be sensitive. So you don't really know how to deal with things, or you don't know how to deal with all these emotions inside of you. And for that, I think from primary school up till uh, college year, uh, there's always this struggle of not knowing how to manage all these questions in my head, like I don't know what's going on. And that has led me to want to understand more about myself. And that's what gravitated me towards psychology. Because honestly, back then psychology didn't even come to my mind. I remember after high school, at SPM, I finished it, and then my parents brought me to a career consultant, and I remember vividly, he just asked me to write down three jobs that I want to kind of go for in the future. Then I remember I wrote down accountant. Right, so this was like a standard kind of
Yeah,
job that your
the
parents probably want
typical
you to.
Asian career list.
Exactly, exactly. And then another one is engineering. Uh, I mean, my dad was an engineer, so I just put down engineer. And surprisingly, like out of a sudden, I just wrote down like psychologist. I don't know why. My parents were quite surprised. Like they've never heard me talking about it and so on. So I think even though I chose psychology, um, I think my parents were quite supportive, even though they were quite shocked on this sudden mention. So yeah, I remember my dad was just searching up like uni that offers psychology, and I think he didn't want me to go too deep into psychology, so like he chose like applied psychology and management. So it's like a mixture of business and psychology in a way. And I just went ahead with it, right? I mean, I didn't know much back then, so I just go ahead and yeah, I think from year one onwards, where it was, I felt like it was fun, and year I think year two onwards was where I really engrossed myself into the subject itself. It's where you had to do more research, more final year projects, and so on. And I think that's where I continued to fall in love in psychology. Um, Even though it's not kind of like neuroscience kind of psychology, it was still very interesting to learn about theories and how things come about. And yeah, I I'm really glad I took up that course and no regrets.
See. Amazing. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because when you said, I think as a boy, when you're young, we we don't really how to manage emotions and all that. I can really kind of relate, resonate with you, because even when during my childhood as well, I'm not sure if it's just normal in families, or probably like just when it comes to male and all that, parents expect male, you shouldn't cry and all that. You are a guy, you should supposed to. Okay, back then I don't know. We don't know what is it called, but now we know that it's called suppression. Whenever you feel bad and all this, you have to keep it to yourself. Hold it back. You are a male. You have to be a gentleman. All this kind of stuff. But then, I totally get you. But it's really interesting how even this small thing back in the days that actually made you chose a career that's related to it in the end. Yeah, but
Yep.
it's amazing though. I'm quite proud that to hear that your parents are very support. Not okay. I guess it depends on what you think, but like it does sound quite supportive that they actually searched up,
Yeah.
what kind of university that actually provide psychology and all that, which is really amazing. I guess it
Yep.
is um slightly less heard of in the Asian culture. I don't want to be cancelled and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, I think in Asia when they hear like, oh, psychology, like why are you still studying this? They'll probably like just push you to like other, like the
Yep.
other major career you have listed. I think even recently my is it my cousin? Yeah, my cousin. My cousin, she's planning to go into university and all that. I think it's after the IGCSE stage, so you have to take
Hmm.
like A levels and all that before you actually get into uni. And then she's only limited to like I think only three course choices. I hope that the parent won't be listening this, but then like I was like personally I do think that, come on man, like, oh, what year is this now? Why are you so limiting your child's future and all that?
Yep.
So yeah, it's really amazing what your parents have done. Interesting. But now you are working. Are you working in HR or
No,
like
no,
no?
no,
You're
I'm
not
not
working in
working in
marketing.
HR.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm working in marketing.
How did you choose your career after you get out of university? Oh yeah, because you
Uh,
mentioned you wanted to be a
yeah.
psychologist as well. Actually, it's
Did
actually I
I?
think quite a huge kind of shift. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I mean, back then I didn't really understand what psychologists do, but I knew that I was definitely interested in psychology.
Mm.
So I guess how my career aspiration came about was, I think back then I wanted to be in consulting.
The
So
money,
I
right?
think, yeah, in a way, it's like the money and the prestige, you know, and also like the career exit plan that you get out of it, right?
Mm.
It's like a good package, I would say. So I think closing to graduation, or I think year three, I wanted to definitely go down the consulting path. Uh, and then unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any consulting jobs. I was kind of, I remember I was quite sad and struggling to cope because I thought getting a good result would kind of pave me a path into consulting, but it didn't. So I was pretty devastated, and honestly, I was just heads on consulting. So I didn't bother apply for like other management training jobs or whatsoever. So I was struggling without a job, and I remember November 2019. So
Must be a significant time for you that you remember, like all these significant moments. You remember the month and the year and all that.
yeah, so November 2019, I remember I was so desperate that I reached out to my lecturer, Dr. Mohan, and he connected me with uh, his MBA student who who at that time had his own boutique consulting firm.
Oh,
So then um, we were connected, and then he ended up hiring me, and I worked there for about I think close to 1.5 years, and after that I just moved on to uh, market research firm. So how I actually went on to a market research agency, it's called Nielsen, where it's a bit funny. It wasn't like really exactly like, oh, I knew I wanted this path, but it was more of, my friend was sending me this job recommendation on Job Street on LinkedIn, and I just like went and see, and I was like, oh, interesting. It sounds quite a little bit like consulting, yet there's a little bit of data and stuff. So I just went ahead, tried it out, and yeah, I think I realized that hey, this is actually a really interesting field, and then I think working there for another 1.5 years, right? So my job transition has been quite short, as you can see. Um, so I think after 1.5 years, Samsung reached out to me, and I was like, hey,
reached out to you. Oh my god.
I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. I think they just needed people at that time. So they reached out, and I was like, okay, why not try this? Because I so far got to be just on the servicing side, right? I never got to be from the client side. So I think
Mhm.
going to the client side would give me another perspective in terms of how things are run there, how they actually use all the insights and so on. Um, so then I joined them as the consumer insights analyst. Um, so currently I'm here for about 2 years, already almost 2 years already, close to 2 years.
I
Honestly, it's
see.
been amazing so far, getting to work with different teams like the digital media, the brand, the marketing communications, the product marketing team, and able to see how things maneuver around. And yeah, I'm actually also leaving Samsung now. So I'm going to start my new job I'm going back to the agency side. Also market research, so same field. I think I'm probably going to stay in the field for probably the rest of my life. I don't know actually, but
Wow.
possibly I could see myself staying in the field. So going back to the agency side, the client servicing side basically, uh, and I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a new challenge. It's definitely it's similar yet different kind of role where I'll be doing more of like key account and sales. Yeah, so that'll be interesting in terms of how I kind of manage client relationships, in terms of how I possibly manage a team in the future. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm gonna embrace whatever challenges that come into my kind of field. Yeah.
Amazing. Sounds really exciting. Exciting times for you. Yeah, I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to hear how it is when you join there. But yeah, like earlier you mentioned about joining consulting and all this. This thing is just happened recently. Like I'm so surprised that I never knew about consulting and then how well paid it is. For throughout my whole university life, I literally just knew about it pretty much a lot more about it, I think last year. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I never knew about this. And then like all this like recently everyone I talked to is like been like in university they're like, oh, I want to find the best paid career. Consulting. That's the way the direction I'm going. I was like, damn, what have I been missing out on? Not that I want to go into consulting. I think I studied it a bit and I was like maybe not exactly the thing for me. But then I was just like I don't know what I spend my my university years chasing and then I totally did not know all this. Yeah.
I mean, technically
But
you build a
yes. Mm.
company. Technically you
I
build a
guess
company,
maybe
right?
I'm really too much into entrepreneurship and all this. I was like too
Yep.
focused on entrepreneurship. I didn't really like even consider like other options and all that. Yeah. But yes, you mentioned that you had very short career transitional period. Do you mean that you had like very short periods of time just working within them before changing into another companies and all that?
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
majority of them were close to 2 years or lesser than that.
Oh,
But I think
okay.
probably for the next job, probably gonna stay longer than that because I do see like a career path there.
Hmm.
I mean, as long as I think I work hard and just every day try to learn as much as possible, just try to embrace the right attitude, and I think yeah, I'll do just fine. I mean, just do my best.
Hmm. I see. But yeah, like, what's your experience having like such short career transitional period? Do you think it's a helpful thing for you?
Honestly, I would say it's about the right time that I left within that period of time. The reason why I left my first job was because there wasn't much projects because it was like during COVID, so there wasn't much projects to learn from, and that's why I left. And then Nielsen was I was approached by Samsung, so in this case, I was yeah, it was like an opportunity to learn more about from the client side, and then why not? And now leaving Samsung is more of I think there is a limitation in terms of uh, where I could grow
Hmm.
in terms of the pace that I wanted to go at. And I think my upcoming job that I'm transitioning into, it's also through a referral. It's not really a job that I applied for, but I think talking to the country director itself, um, I actually am quite interested in terms of working under him and learning things from him, especially. Uh, yeah, I think I would be able to grow a lot more and a lot faster with this next transition.
Would you say that you have a really good network? You did a lot of networking and all that? Because I don't know, it sounds like you seem like, well, definitely, I think earlier in your career, like you said, you were very desperate. You had to seek out to your lecturer for help. But after
Yep.
that, well, you got approached, and then like this one is through a referral. You talk to the country director and all that. So,
hmm I mean, the Samsung was just like coincidental. They were just cold calling on
mm,
LinkedIn. I mean, that was a
oh,
different case. This
I
one
hope
was
that happens
more.
to me right now.
This one was a referral from my first boss from my first company.
Mm,
So it's pretty. Well, I think I'm pretty fortunate to know the right people and to be at the right place at the right time. Uh,
mm,
with also the right skill set that we're looking at. Um, so in a way, I guess it all boils down to a mixture of luck and yourself, right? Like back then, I remember like what I mentioned to you.
Hmm.
I got a good result, but I couldn't get the job that I wanted. You know, that was just like unfortunate, and maybe it wasn't the right time. Yeah,
I see. When now that you bring back that desperate moment when you say that, yeah, you had good results and then can't find job, it really because like the previous podcast guest I interviewed just last week, she mentioned the same thing as well. Yeah, she had really good results, and then after coming out, and then she realized that doesn't mean everything. Like the results
yeah,
doesn't mean everything. Actually, like doesn't mean that you get good grades and you'll be like, oh yeah, the world will actually want you and all that. You
yeah,
actually need a lot more than that. Knowing people sometimes is very important and all that as well.
yeah.
So yes, like did you have some huge? You mentioned that time you were at a very low point and all that. Did you have a huge mental shift or something that like mindset change when you during that period of time?
Like which period when I reach out to my lecturer or
I think when you realize that good grades didn't couldn't get me
uh,
a good good job or a job I want. Yeah.
uh I mean it wasn't like a shift, I would say. It was something that I struggled with back then. I think for a couple of years, and I think coming to now where I am at currently at this stage. I mean, looking back, I would say I can say this, right? Because that's like comparing me versus back then, and yeah, then only like realizing, hey, good grades doesn't mean anything. It's sometimes it's also about luck and so on. And I guess that's why when they talk about job applications, they always say, it's like a game of chances, or yeah, just let's say it's your application success rate is going to be 10%. So you need to apply 100 jobs to get maybe 10 interviews kind of thing. So, maybe back then I was a little bit naive and so on. So maybe I applied for like 10 jobs and I didn't get any of them. Uh, I guess that fits the statistics well, where,
Mm,
10% of 10 is like probably one, or,
mm.
even lesser if the statistic is lower in a way, right?
I see. I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. You did mention that you started going to therapy, and then like I think yeah we talked about this when we had our earlier call,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that several interviews happened, and I realize so many people are going into therapy now that I am very tempted to go into it. In fact, I think actually originally I should have scheduled one appointment this week,
Yep.
but I didn't. I should really do it next week. But yes, tell me about it. What prompted you to start going to therapy? Like this would be a question that I'm very interested in as well. I was like, realized like really so many people are going for it. I was like, I should really take advantage of this to help me as well.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Actually, it wasn't a recent thing. I've been
Mm.
going since March 2020.
Oh
Still
wow. Okay.
remember, yeah, still remember the month. I continuing off from where I was struggling back then. I couldn't find a job. I was at my lowest point, and I was just struggling mentally. And at that point of time, I was also coincidentally I was watching this guy called Healthy Gamer GG. So this guy is a
Gamer?
Harvard.
Is it no?
Yeah, he's a gamer. But mainly how he branded himself is he's a Harvard psychiatrist.
Wow.
Um, and he actually was like a school dropout, or he had bad grades, but ended up he managed to get into Harvard, and there's all this fairy tale story in a way. And yeah, I just started watching his videos, and that's where I mean, I think everyone back then would have a kind of negative perception of therapy, right? Kind of this
Mm.
stigma where people only go because they have mental health issues, like they have problems and so on. So I
Mm.
think watching his videos helped to normalize how I think about therapy. So then I remember March 2020. I was just searching up places to go. I had shortlisted like 10 places, with the pricing. Then I just went ahead with the one that was most affordable for me. I remember it was like 200 ringgit for 5 sessions. It was pretty
Oh,
cheap.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a rate for, I mean, the people that you'll be getting is more of trainees, I would say. But I think coincidentally, that at that point of time, when I went for it, the person actually was I think I mean, he's definitely older, and
Hmm?
he had a PhD in philosophy, if I remember correctly. Uh, so
Interesting.
it was kind of like me getting like a good deal, right? Like while he's getting his master's in counseling, I'm getting like a person with a lot more experience, and I think it has been amazing so far with him. I'm so glad to have met him.
Oh, so
Um,
you've been like staying with him all this while.
yes.
Oh, wow.
So he's always been so committed with me in terms of my whole journey since, right. So now it's like almost 4.5 years since I've known him. Time flies. So I remember first session, I had um, I had a two papers printed out. It was through a Word doc. I had listed out a bunch of things that I was just lost about, like things I wanted to address and so on. And I was just showing it to him. And I remember
Hmm.
he mentioned like, oh, he was quite shocked that I think it's one of his first time seeing someone presenting like a papers to him to see like, oh, these are all the things that uh, he wants to fix, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think through that experience itself, that 4.5 years. I mean, I went quite often, I would say. It was like on a weekly basis, and then I think slowly, close to the 2 years mark, I began to spend maybe once a month and so on, and gradually, um, I kind of live without it for maybe I only go for a checkup once every 6 months and so on.
Wow,
So
okay.
gradually, it's more like me being able to live independently without needing help from him. So how my therapy or counseling runs I think it's a little bit different than the usual people. Mine is more like psychoeducation. It's not really
Hmm.
like behavioral therapy or so on.
Hmm.
So I think learning about all these emotional stuff and how to deal with emotions, what are they, understanding the essence of understanding all the factors which forms like an equation in your mind where you're able to kind of link things together. I think
Hmm.
that's where it got me to really understand how things work and kind of navigate my emotions, right? So let's say, oh, I am angry. Why am I angry? Is it because of A? Is it because of B? Um, and then from there, you kind of maneuver around and see how you want to address your uh, underlying issues, right? Because there's always an underlying issue that's causing it, and I
Hmm.
think by understanding it, it's the first step to actually tackle the issue itself. And I think it's gotten me to be very self-aware of my emotions, my thoughts. I think every second, like I could be just talking to you, and I could be already have this self-awareness. Where, oh,
Oh.
like, yeah, it's basically like fact checking your. I mean, just double checking your thoughts and what you say. I think it's been an amazing journey so far, where I've got to learn so much about myself,
Hmm.
and I think it's one thing that I would recommend people to go for.
Hmm.
But of course, it doesn't work for every person, right? Because sometimes, well, maybe it's just not your cup of tea, and I think that's fine. And whoever that's interested in going for therapy, I think for you, for example, I think there's always. I mean, I've heard of this where compatibility is also another thing. Like,
Hmm.
if it doesn't work, maybe it's just you're not compatible with the therapist itself, right? Maybe you don't vibe with
Yes.
him or her. So I guess you just need to find the perfect, or not the perfect, but people that
Hmm.
works for you. So yeah, I think I hope you have fun. Um, yeah,
Yes, because like that's why I'm very surprised that you just. I guess you're very lucky, you know. We pay a cheaper price for a trainee, got a very experienced one, and then you
yeah,
actually stuck all the way. Like it's so compatible, you stuck all the way to the end. Because many people say that definitely it takes a few tries to find someone that you're truly comfortable to, pour pour out your heart and soul, share about everything to them. You have to be like quite vulnerable towards them, like sharing all this kind of stuff. So that's why I guess yeah, it's really all these minor things as I've been thinking like, wow, sounds very troublesome. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it. But after hearing so many people, especially I'll say all these people which are definitely they say that therapy contributed to part of their success in life and all this. So I was like, yeah, man, I think I think I should really go on this path, and it's something that is definitely worth investing in. Yeah. But just wondering how, because like yeah, I think like surrounding the year 2020 and all that, that's the part the time where you struggled the most. How was your, you know, relationship with your friends and your family and all this?
Oh, I think back then I was quite. It was just like business as usual, I would say. I didn't really share much with my family. I think growing up in a Chinese household, I'm not sure if this is the case for you, but we usually don't talk about all these
Mm.
feelings or so on with your family. Um,
Uh,
so there wasn't this practice, and usually I'll just keep it to myself. I think that's why therapy has helped me a lot in terms of
mm,
practicing, especially how to express myself. Because growing
mm,
up, I've never knew how to express myself. So this was an avenue for me to practice how to articulate my thoughts, how to articulate my emotions, how to sit with my emotions, sit with the feeling, sit with the negative feelings, especially, and not avoid it, right? Like, oh, I'm sad. Then you try to cope. You try to adopt all the negative, well, I would say maladaptive coping mechanisms. Like,
mm,
if you're sad, then you just play games, you try not to think about it, and then things would just accumulate in the end and it just hits you back. Uh,
okay.
and you probably would explode. So, yeah, I mean, even with friends itself, it was still hard because no matter how much you talk to them,
Mm,
there's still things that are inside you which are unresolved.
okay.
Um, so it was regardless, you still need to know what you feel. I think back then, I had, I'm since young because I didn't know how to deal with emotions. I
Mm,
tend to numb it. I'm not sure if this happens to you, but I think numbing it kind of helped me to deal with deal with it back then. Although it was is not the way to go, but that was how
mm,
I that was the only way I knew, and that has really took some time for me to actually unnumb everything and just learn how to sit with it and acknowledge it, right? Not to push away your emotions, acknowledge it and address it and face it head on. Yeah.
that is amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, yeah, that is amazing that you went through all that. But yeah, when you talk about childhood and all this, like, cause very funny. I think even just this past few years have been a lot of changes. I think actually the past year, I think maybe the past year has the most changes that's happened in me as well. Because I'm not sure why. I guess when for a huge part of my childhood, I was the only child. So and then I'm not sure what happened after that, but basically I just became someone that is very independent. I was very on my own. I only had one cousin, distant cousin that's around my age. Then rest of my closer cousins are all like at least 7 years younger than me. So I never had really someone close. So I guess that's what made me um spend most of my time alone. and then slowly that changed into being a lot more independent. I'll rely on myself. I remember this one time where my friend was texting in the friends group chat asking like, I had a stomach ache. What should I do and all this. And then now that I look back, I really sounded like an asshole. I just searched on Google and then just like screenshot the whole thing and then send it to me. I was like, you could have just searched it on Google and all that. I was like, that's how I was like back then. Yeah. So I've been like keeping it this way. Like I wouldn't reach out. I was just thinking that anything I can do it myself, I'll do it myself. There's no need to reach out, no need to do all this kind of complex
Mm-hmm.
social interaction scenarios and all this. Until really, I think recently, last year, yes, last year, early last year, I was very, very lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess one thing is that I couldn't really truly find what so-called my own people where they can truly like understand resonate me because like most I mean nothing wrong but most friends definitely we tend to people tend to like to talk about gossips shallow topics and all that kind of stuff but then um definitely some of them I'm interested but then I feel like it's actually draining a lot of my social energy when it comes to like spending a lot of time chatting about that so it's not something that I enjoy and then I would rather spend most of my time myself and all that hustling and all that kind of stuff and it's only last year I realized that, yeah, friends are all this community is really important. I started reaching out, joining different groups, joining running groups, and all this kind of stuff that realized that, okay, this made a change. Definitely, I would say there will be some, not really sacrifices. How do I say? What's the word? I forgot. Yeah, basically, I do have to
Trade
sorry, yeah,
off.
have you? Yes, trade off. Yes, I definitely have the joint conversation. Talk about some gossip and all this. But the company and all this with my friends and all this does really help. And it's yeah, especially earlier this year. Yeah, I think when you talk about the family, Chinese family and all this, very true don't talk about feelings and all this. Even today, yeah, my dad will be always the one that's like, yeah, I'm all right, I'm fine. Like, I think, yeah, like actually, that is a very big trouble. Not big trouble, something that I'm trying to solve right now. Because earlier this year, yeah, my mom passed away. So now my family is just me, my sister, and my dad. Definitely, like, actually, for me, I guess because I've been living in the UK for the past 3 years, so I am
Mm-hmm.
slightly detached from their life in Malaysia. So it is definitely sad that my mom passed away, but it's easier for me than for them. For them, they see each other daily, and then like my mom was deeply integrated into their life and all this. But then now that she's gone and all this, I was like, I'm talking to my dad all the time, like, are you all right and all that? And then he'll be like, yeah, I'm all right, yeah, definitely more busier at work and all this. Like, he don't really talk about feelings and all this. Like, it's always about the business aspect or whatever. Like,
Yep.
the very external part, things that you can
Yep.
see. You never really talk about feelings. So even within our family group chat now, every time it's like there's just not much conversations going on. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I try to actively do as well. I try to share and all that. Even I think last week when realized that so many people are going to therapy. I think it's a good idea. And then I was sharing with my dad and all this. And then I was telling him, maybe he should consider and all that. And then he is like, yeah, I think you should go and all this. But then I asked him like, oh, did you want to try it out? And he's like, I think I'm still fine. I'm all right. I was like, oh my God, such a headache. Like, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't force him, but like, I respect his current decision. But
Yep.
definitely, I hope that he would open to maybe try it out
Mm-hmm.
in the future or something like that. But yes, I totally resonate with your the Chinese family thing kind of thing. Yeah, something.
Because I
Yeah, even.
sorry, I also realized that there is kind of a negative effect of keeping things in, especially
Mm,
when it comes to people who tend to be avoidant about their uh what they're going through, it definitely eats you up, I would say. I think that was how I felt back then. Like it ate me up,
Hmm.
and it was only when I decided to reach out for help. It was like a turning point for me in my life where it started to got better, I would say.
Yeah, recently as well, because like over the past year, yeah, I've made so many friendships over the past year, really solid ones, and especially one, which unfortunately he will be living in UK for good, going back to Malaysia for good. Like I just got his phone call yesterday telling me. I was like, oh shit, that is so sad. Like another less of, because like now I just moved to London. I wouldn't be going back to Nottingham that often, and then another reason for me not to go back to Nottingham again, because like he's no longer there. But then I think he's the first true friend that told me this. He would tell me that I'm actually, I should ask him like what prompted him to ask to say this to me. He just like, you should really share more. Share more,
Mhm.
like whether it's a good things and all that, like any troubles that you have faced and all this. I think that time was after my breakup and all that. So
Yeah.
probably another reason that they say this and all this. Yeah. But then it's truly the first friend that have told me this, and because it really meant a lot for me, then I was like, okay, yeah, I should really start doing it. Like even after I moved down to London, he sent me the same message as well. Whether the good or bad things about in London and all this, just let me know. You should really just don't be ashamed of reaching out for help. And that's why I think almost a month ago, yeah, I got scammed. I got
Mhm.
scammed, and then it was terrible. And then I got scammed at night on Sunday. On the Sunday night, it was very, very terrible. Like amazing day. And then I think I did my daily review, like reviewing like grateful stuff for today and all this. And then I got scammed. legit, legit, it was that bad. But I think I got scammed a few times before, so I have some how CBT stuff which I'll tell myself
Yeah.
like, okay, how to deal with it. But then definitely it doesn't feel good. So the next day in the morning, I just, okay, let's put that into practice. I went and messaged my close friends, all of them, like, I just got scammed this amount and all this, and then yeah, but I'm totally fine because I just want to let you guys know, like just let it out, because after sharing it, I definitely feel a lot better. But definitely they are really nice as well. They replied to me and then they'll
Mhm.
message like, say, like, like is it okay? Are you really okay? And all that kind of stuff. And oh, also I shared it to my family because I think my first time of before this, I had another time getting scammed in the UK, and then definitely, oh no, even before that, I think my first major scam was in back in Malaysia during COVID. And I don't know, because in Asian family and all this, there's just this kind of fear inside. Like
Yeah.
it feels like you did something wrong. Yeah, even though you
Yeah.
got scammed. And then that time I was actually quite afraid to share with my parents, but I know that I have to tell them eventually. Like not to admit that I did this fault or something, but I just think it's the necessary thing. We're a family and
Mhm.
all this. So then that's the first time I told them. I'm very happy, definitely
Mhm.
they did not scold me and all this. Or some of them, they're not scolding, they are worried, and they turn that worried in they how to say it, they exaggerated that worried, and then it sounds like they're scolding you and all this, but they are
Yeah.
just very worried about you. Yeah, then I told them it was totally fine. So in that time when I first got scammed in the UK, I think took one week. Then I told them, but also another reason is that I don't want them to be so worried, because I just arrived in the UK one month and then got scammed. But this time I went straight next day, just messaged them. I was like, okay, I got scammed, but I'm just telling you guys I'm totally fine, because I want to build up the sharing culture. So I hope that,
Yeah.
like, if anything happens to my sister, to my dad, they will be willing to share. Don't keep it to themselves,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
yeah, we are a family.
Yeah, agreed. Because like I also broke up recently, and I
Mhm.
remember like after that, I've never met so many friends in my life like consecutively. So I think on a weekly basis, I was meeting 2 to 3 friends. which was
Amazing.
quite insane for me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that has gotten me to like the more I talk, the more I'm able to process things and understand the situation and
Mm-hmm.
kind of move on faster, I would say. Um, because I know like there are some cases where people just, I mean, commonly like guys, I would say they would just be like, oh, I'm fine, like oh, like oh, I'm happy and stuff, and then uh, like it's quite common when you hear this kind of what do you say, like statement where oh it hits the guy uh it hits
Other
the guy harder, but
later,
slower.
is it?
Not
Okay,
later,
okay,
but
okay.
harder, right?
Mm.
So I guess this one kind of originates from the situation where they are very avoidant at the beginning and they start pushing or shoving their emotions aside, and later on, it kind of hits them back, uh, and that's why it hits them harder, right? So
Mm.
yeah, I think really sharing is really what also bonds you with the people around you. It's what creates an emotional bond, and that's what creates closeness. That's
Mm.
what makes people understand you as a person. And when you share more, they also share more, right? Because that's where the trust is built, and that's where you build a community of your support group or your friend group, and I think that's where you grow together as friends and so on. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yes. Same thing happened to me, yeah, like earlier this year. I think no, when I put up the first podcast episode, when I put up the first podcast episode, yeah, I that like a lot of people came to me and then like, oh, yeah, I'm all right and all this, and then there's even really amazing people that actually came and like, connected me to because I wanted to enter the VC industry. They went and connected me to people in that,
Yep.
which is truly amazing. So, also this that moment in time, it reminded me of one thing that my first internship manager told me. Like it's actually because at that time he told me it's actually when you are unemployed, you got retrenched or whatever, that is the time you should tell everyone about it because then every like you get more help to actually help you find a job or something.
Yep.
It's true for other circumstances as well. It's when you are in trouble that we
Mhm.
should actually share more
Yep.
to get the support from others and all
Mhm.
this. Yeah, because like if they're friends, they would actually help you out. And definitely, I believe for all of us, we hope we would want to help our friends when they are
Yep.
actually in trouble as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this really stems from the shame culture, especially in Asian side where you always feel ashamed of being at your lowest point,
Mm.
or not being at your best and so on. Um, so I think really embracing the courage, because
Mm.
like I've been reading a lot of books and stuff, and I really like The Courage to Be Disliked. This book called The Courage to Be
Oh
Disliked
yes.
and The Courage to Be Happy. Think it particularly talked about you needing to embrace or just be courageous to do anything, and that's where you are able to move one step forward, rather than being driven by fear, I would say. And I
Mm.
think for us Asians, I mean, for my case, I would say, um, I tend to be driven by fear. So
Mm.
let's say in school, primary school, so I know it's always the fear of getting beaten up, by teachers, getting like whipped by them. It's
Mm.
always been this driving force since young, right? That you don't do well, you get scolded. You
Mm.
don't do well, you get shamed in front of everyone. And I guess in a way, this wasn't healthy. I think this is not healthy for uh anyone, I would say. I guess like currently the education system is changing now, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's no more whooping or whooping. So I guess that's good. And um like embracing the courage is basically a better way to dealing with things.
Mm.
And I think I've been doing that, which, like I've been doing a lot more new things, I would say. Right? Like
Mm.
even coming on this podcast, maybe it's
Amazing.
something that
Yay.
I would be fearful of doing maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, right? I wouldn't even dreamt of doing this because I would be so scared. Oh, what would people think of me and so on. No, I'm
Mm.
just like, oh, let's just go, let's just try, let's just wing it, let's see how it
Mm.
goes and have fun. And I've been picking up a lot of things as well, like hiking, uh, going on Mount Kinabalu next year,
Oh
going on a
yeah.
solo trip to Japan in October after I finish my tenure in Samsung. And yeah, I think I feel like a lot of exciting things started to pop up naturally when I
Mm.
became more courageous, I would say. That's because like you open up to different experiences and
Mm.
you're not so limited by this box that you're in. Because when you're driven by fear, you tend to close up in your box and say, "Oh, I want to move left, but this," right? You always have
Yes.
excuses which limit yourself within the box. But if you're courageous, you kind of want to you kind of am curious about what's outside of the box, so you kind of move one step forward just to see how things
Mm.
go. If things don't go as you plan, then you kind of just think, oh, okay, no, maybe it's not my thing. Then
Mm.
maybe you just want to move one step backwards, right? That's fine, right? At least
Mm.
you kind of try it out, I would say. So in general, I think I am quite happy in terms of my current state, I would say. Uh, definitely I feel like a different person. I mean, it's very cliche, I would say, but
It's
I mean,
fine. It's fine. Sometimes
cause
it's really true. Like what? How else should I say it? It's cliche, but how else
yeah,
should I say it?
yeah, cause I've told my friends about it. I was like, hey, you know what? I feel like I've changed a lot, and then I was just like telling them my rationale, and they're like, yeah, maybe, and yeah,
Actually, yesterday I was listening to another podcast and then totally same thing as what I said. Like the reason why most people they are so afraid of, getting out of their job, switching into another new job is that because mostly people are really motivated by the fear of losing. Yeah, instead of like getting something they want. So like the
yep,
the the, the fear of losing the current stable pay, the current stable life or the prestige of working in this company and all this, like they would rather they're so afraid of that they would decide to give up on the desire to actually achieve something they want, whether it's like getting into a new job and all this kind of stuff. And like yeah, totally the same thing as what you said and all this. Yeah.
yep.
But yes, how would you say? Because you just now mentioned a lot of amazing things, man. Yeah, you read a lot of books. I read that Courage to Dislike before, but I actually forgot the content already. I'm gonna reread it. I'm definitely gonna reread it.
Uh,
Yeah, but yeah, you're now go on hiking. You're going on like solo trip soon as well. Like, how's your lifestyle now? Like whether it's like, and was it a recent change?
yeah, I think yeah, it's a recent change, definitely. Um, I've been like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is like my morning gym day before my work.
Oh, amazing.
So
What time do you wake up? Sorry. Oh, okay.
I wake up like 5:30 or 5:45 a.m.
Amazing.
and
I
just
wake
go
up
to the
at 6
gym.
as well, so I totally resonate you, but I'm still very impressed you wake up like 5 something. It's amazing,
Mhm.
man. Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't that hard for me because
Hmm.
I managed to find a way to incorporate into my lifestyle. So it wasn't like I have to wake up and be like, oh no, it's like gym day or something. It just felt like it just felt like a normal day where oh, let's go,
Hmm.
just have fun and um that's one of the things that I've been doing. And then hiking is like a weekend thing. Uh, Back then I was doing like twice a day. Uh, Now I'm doing like twice a week on weekend. So basically
Hmm.
Saturday and Sunday. Now I'm doing like on Sunday. Saturday I'll probably do something else that I want to. Uh, I haven't tried hiking alone, but it was like a pretty easy place. but I think it was
Mm,
quite healing, I would say. It was quite fun to just do it alone, because you kind of do it at your own pace and you just get to enjoy the journey, I would say.
mm,
And throughout that point of time, I think I was also being more comfortable. I was trying to be more comfortable with spending time alone. I mean,
mm.
because I my relationship was like 7 years. So I mean, it was always I always had someone to be with, and I think now being single, I think it's a new experience, and yeah, currently I just love spending time alone. I remember like there was one day I just went out, just went to McDonald's. I was just eating fries and reading my Kindle. It
Oh, that's
was pretty
cool.
chill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I think other than that, yeah, my lifestyle's been pretty just that. I mean, I've been sleeping quite early.
What time do you sleep
Uh,
actually? Like to wake up that early?
I'll try to sleep about 10, 11-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say my lifestyle now is pretty healthy.
Very healthy.
Um, Hopefully I can maintain this
Mm.
for the next many years to come.
My God, I found someone. Yeah, because like legit, I've been okay. I started this morning routine thing. I think around COVID, but then definitely I broke a few times. But
Yep.
most recently, like I think mid this year, I think May, I started again. I would I would I would sleep like at 11 and then wake up at 6. Yeah, I used to wake up at 5, but then I find that it's really hard here
Mhm.
because especially during winter time, it's
Yep.
fucking freezing and all that. And I think if doing gym is a lot better, but I don't do gym.
Yep.
I run. So I run in the early
Mm,
morning. During the winter early morning, it's all dark and all that. That is definitely terrible. So I switch it around and make it into 6 and all this. So it's amazing hearing someone that's doing that. I am
yep.
very happy because like every time when I talk to other people, yes, so
Yep.
and then people would just think that I'm crazy, and then like definitely they wouldn't understand this. Yeah, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
I'm quite
Yeah.
surprised myself because
Mm.
actually I haven't skipped a single day of gym.
Well done.
Like, because it's 3 times a week, right? And I've been going since beginning of June. So it's been consistently three months now. Yeah. I'm happy with
Mm.
like the progress I've made, and my goal was just to be healthy. Uh, I
Mm.
remember one of the motivators was just I just felt weak. Like I remember when I went to Japan last year, I was like carrying stuff and I felt like, wait a minute, why is this so heavy? And I
Oh,
realized that I probably need to change. So yeah, yeah. Being able to feel like, oh, my backpack is lighter, like feels lighter, it doesn't feel as heavy. It feels good, actually.
are you going
Yeah.
back to Japan again this year just to feel like compared to last year? Feel the sense of progress.
Yeah,
Oh, the luggage feel a lot like a lot lighter at this exact same spot. I was like, definitely, I have changed.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing, amazing. I really love what you have done. But still, the personal question: what is the mindset? Like, what is the thing that motivates you to wake up every day?
Wake up early, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just like part of my lifestyle already. Like I don't even
Mm,
think about, oh, I need to wake up early tomorrow and stuff. It was just like,
mm,
oh, I just need to
I
wake
see.
up. I just need to do this, and I enjoy the process. And I think it's in psychology they call it a flow state where you just tend to develop a system, and you just go with it, and yeah, like you
The
don't
flow.
even think about yeah, you don't even think about the barriers and so on. You just do it. And yeah, I think that's the practice that I've done since the start. And honestly, I've always also enjoyed just starting the day early, I would say.
Amazing, amazing. I see. Yeah. I hate it. I think there definitely is a lot easier for me when it's summer here, especially like peak summer because like the sun rises at 4 a.m. I'll just like wake up, I see the sun, I was like so happy, motivated, like sun is up, I'm up as well, let's start the day. But then I hate it when it's going winter. I think peak winter the sun only rises at 8 a.m. Now it's beginning to getting late. Like every time when I wake up I already can't see the sun, which I really hate. I hope that this habit of mine will continue through this winter and then proves that okay, so it's actually doable and all this. Yeah, so I'll see how it goes for me as well. Yeah. But yes, how do you maintain your friendships after coming out, working and all this?
I would say it depends because
Mm-hmm.
there are bound to be people that you kind of don't resonate with that much, right? I mean, as you grow older, you kind of know what you want and what you don't want, what groups suit you, what groups don't suit you, and I mean, in a way, it's not to say that you want to push them all aside. It's just that probably just meet them not as frequent as possible. I'm not as frequent as last time.
Mm-hmm.
Or people just get busier and just you guys just don't meet up as because I mean you're probably occupied and people get into relationships and it's
Yeah.
just bound to happen, right? Um, but there are a few people that I mean there's one friend that I keep in touch with every day. Um,
Ooh,
so
amazing.
we always send like reels and stuff to each other and
I feel like that that
this
that
is
that,
fun.
that is surprisingly one of the benefit of social media,
Yep.
like all these reels that it became a connection,
Correct,
like a
correct.
thing, like memes and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it just naturally, I think it naturally became something since last year, I would say. Like, I think gradually it happened to everyone, which I thought it was only for me, my case, but wait, I was like, hey, why are there all the memes about people sending memes to like their friends? Then I realized, whoa, that's a practice for everyone. So, yeah, this guy friend that I have, like, I talk to him every day. Um, yeah, kind of happy to have him around. Like whenever I needed support, I'll just reach out to him, and
Mm.
then yeah, no matter how funny or how stupid my stories are, or um, whatever questions I have, he would
Mm.
always kind of entertain me, and
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I was quite glad that I have him in my life. And there are also like a lot of other friends that I would say now that I think of it, I mean there are certain I wouldn't say use or I mean, there are certain people that you go to for certain things, right? So,
Mm.
let's say this person offers something that might you might want to seek out for. So then you go to this person, and I think knowing what value each person can bring
Mm.
will help you to understand more from their end and not to expect them to give you everything, right? So let's say
True, true,
I think there's
true.
a need especially for each and every one of you, or each and
Mm.
every one of us, where I have let's say a certain need for companionship, I have certain need for emotional connection, I have certain need for maybe business advice, right? So some criteria each might not suit a certain friend, right?
Mm.
You might not be able to go for to this person for business advice, but you could go to this person for emotional connection, let's say, or kind of share your thoughts.
Mm.
So knowing about this allowed me to actually understand um, and appreciate what this
Mm.
person can bring to you, and it doesn't put all the weight onto that person to fulfill all your needs. Because sometimes you might expect too much from this person and say, "Oh, no, this person is not like my good friend because he does not fit this criteria," right? But honestly, he doesn't have that to begin with, and
Mm.
that allowed me to appreciate a person more for what that person has contributed. Not really contributed, but I think added into my life in a way. So when it comes to staying connected with these people, I think it's just like reaching out to them. When you feel like talking to them, just message them, say like, "Oh, hey, how's life?" or oh, let's catch up soon. I think that's been the practice I've done recently. Back then I didn't really meet up with friends that much, but I think now
Mm-hmm.
it's just something that I learned where if you miss them, just text them whatever. Like, what if what if they don't reply you? Whatever, right? I mean, as long as
You're
you
not
get the
losing
point
anything.
across, correct.
Mm.
And regardless, there's still some appreciation you have for the person for what they have helped you with, right? Um, I have this friend, like, funny story. I have this friend who tends not to reply messages.
Mm.
So,
We all have that fun.
yeah. But I mean, he's been there for me at my kind of toughest time, I would say. Um,
Mm.
and I'm really glad that the support that he has offered me at that point of time. Um, so I think bringing that appreciation into the picture helps me to understand that, hey, even though he does not fulfill the need,
Mm.
in terms of texting or building that texting connection
Habit.
in a way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Connection.
So he has helped me at that time. So that balances out the the expectations, I would say. And yeah, it allows you to appreciate what you have instead of what's missing in a way.
Wow. Actually, honestly, like this whole thing you said is very mind-blowing to me. It's a really new perspective to me that I never thought of. And I would really try to employ this way of thinking a lot more because it is very true. I guess I like just now I used as well like I like to ask people whether they have found their people and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But then, in fact, I guess there's no really perfect our people and all this kind of thing. Like this close friend I mentioned that brought me into that asked me to actively reach out when you when you need help on your emotions and all this kind of stuff. I would say he is a particular my kind of person. Like the interest and all that is totally different, but now thinking about what you said, like I still yes, I totally appreciate this person because like he is very nice and all this, even though our interests and all that is different. But yeah, it's important to manage our expectations and definitely each person each of our friend has a
Yep.
value in that, and then we definitely cannot expect them to give
Yep.
everything we want and all this. I really love that, and I legit never thought of that, and I will try it now. I'll try to employ that a lot more when into thinking. Yeah, because it's totally logical. Just it's
Yep.
totally logical. Like, how can you expect one person to be someone that the ideal friend or something like that? It totally
Yep.
doesn't make sense. Every person is different, and then they are a person as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
amazing.
That
Wow.
that's why you gotta build your own community, just reach out to more people so you get more
Mm,
like variants of people and to suit your different needs. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, even the reaching out part, that part I totally agree as well. Because like it's recently as well. Like back then, I just think that it is very weird, when you go and text people randomly and all this. And then my friend told me that every time when she want to kind of like connect with that person, she would like even though it can. Okay, she likes to go on walking tours whenever she goes on the travel and all that, and then she
Yep.
would just connect with the tour guide on Instagram. And with Instagram, you can see their stories and all that. You see how their life is, and she'll just you know reply to the stories and all that. And it's a very good way to just
Mm-hmm.
connect and then build relationships from all that
Yep.
as well. And yeah, I don't know why last time I just think it's weird. Now I started like just messaging people. I was like, yeah, it's fine. When we not want to how to say it, like connect again or like
Yep.
like 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 catch up. That's the term. Yeah, just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Okay, have you suffered or are you currently suffering quarter life crisis?
Uh, Actually, I don't really like the terminology
Term.
of like like quarter life crisis or midlife crisis. I feel like there are turning points in your life. I mean, I've had a
Mm-hmm.
couple of turning points, I would say, which has propelled me to grow more as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think the recent case has kind of made me reborn into another person, I would say. And I'm just glad to have been able to learn more. Um, I mean, because back then I actually didn't like reading books. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's only until this time where I started picking up books, and that's where it got me to open my mind a little bit more in terms of understanding a little bit more about psychology, a little bit more about philosophy, and that's where it has helped me to accept more things and embrace myself, build like courage and so on. It's given me more, I would say, concepts to play with. Because let's say before this, it's always limited within the things I only know, right? But when I get exposed to different concepts, I would say it was definitely eye opening. So let's say I remember there's a very interesting concept, or theory, I would say, from the book Courage to be Disliked. They mentioned so Alfred Adler mentioned that anger is a tool, which
Mm-hmm.
I found it really interesting. Um, where I've actually discussed with my friends as well. Like, it was a very interesting thing where they talk about people use anger as a tool to achieve a certain objective, um, no matter conscious or unconscious. So let's say when I try to communicate something to you and it doesn't get into your mind or it doesn't register in your mind, then if I don't know any other better alternative way, then I might just resort to anger, right? Just to
Mm-hmm.
enforce that particular um, message that I'm trying to get across. So in essence, I when I read through that, I was like, wow, this is something that I actually resonate with, and it has helped me to learn more on how to. I mean, it gave me a sense of realization that maybe anger is not the way. I mean, it's okay to be angry. I'm not trying to say that no, it's not okay to be angry, but there could be better alternatives to deal with situations, I would say. Um, and that just gives you a realization that you could always improve and see how you can manage the situation better in a way, right? Rather than resorting to just anger because most of the time it only worsen the situation, I would say, on a day-to-day basis. Maybe this is not relevant for all the use case in everyone's life, but I think for most part of your day-to-day, I think it's pretty relevant. I'm not sure. What do you think actually?
I should quite agree. Like what you said. Like, well, definitely, I have read the book, but I totally forgot about this part of it. But it is very true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, now that you say it, I think I will. Yeah, I will be more self-aware and realize that if this topic or this conversation or this particular whatever this particular friend triggered my anger, then it's definitely something that I have to dive deeper and try to understand, because like definitely there's something wrong within that I think I can improve, or like
Hmm.
I feel attacked or something,
Yeah.
whether it's something that uh his whatever he said is particularly triggering,
Hmm.
that I particularly dislike, or it could just be me being very sensitive and all this.
Yeah.
But yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting.
It's like an
Yeah.
equation, right? So you feel
Mm.
attacked, therefore you feel shame. And to protect
Mm.
yourself from feeling ashamed, you kind of
Anger.
need to show anger to actually
Mm.
kind of show that you are better than that person because
Yeah.
the when you raise your voice, you tend to show that you
Mm.
are bigger than the person. So therefore, you exert more dominance, and
Mm.
that's the objective, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like I think many times, some because I do reflection, but not that instantaneous. Usually, like afterwards, you realize that actually I didn't handle that situation the best way. I feel like it's mostly when my ego got threatened or something like that, where it could be like I'm losing the conversation or something
Mm-hmm.
that really made me feel like, yeah, I should really do something to protect myself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
interesting, very interesting. Cool. What's your recent struggle?
Recent struggle.
Most recent, yeah.
Uh, I would say I actually wrote down a couple of things. I would say the things that I'm currently
You came
working on.
prepared.
Because I felt like this one was worth expanding,
Okay.
and I thought it would be interesting to kind of list down. So I would say, I mean, there are five things I wrote down. One is self-acceptance. Another one is like embracing my emotions. Third one is learning how to navigate through the world of advices and your own desires. And then another one's external external perception and validation. And
Mm.
then the fifth one is focusing on what you have instead of what's missing. So I think this one I
Oh.
touched a little bit about it just now, right?
Mm.
Like being blessed to have friends that support you rather than
Mm.
thinking, oh, this friend's not offering me this kind of thing, right?
Mm.
But yeah, let's dive into the first point, self-acceptance. I think back then, because I didn't understand myself and I felt like I was not fitting in with the crowd, right? Being a male, that is a little bit, it's more sensitive and emotional. It's not the best way to. I mean, it wasn't fitting. When you look at the general population of male,
Mm.
I would say, um, most. I mean, I was quite bad at sports. I was not like into like boxing, MMA, these kind of things. So it, it was not particularly. I didn't gel well, I would say. I didn't feel like I fit into the mold. So
Mm.
there, I didn't really feel like I accepted myself. I
Mm.
felt like I was too emotional. I felt like I was too sensitive, right? And I didn't embrace that part of me because honestly, when I think of it now, there are good and bad to it, and you just need to know how to manage the bad side, right? So let's say being emotional or being sensitive, what are the pros to it, right? One is maybe you're just able to understand people better, right? Get empathy and you're able to pick up signs. You're able to react to things better because you pick up more signs. And well, but the downside is maybe sometimes you get a little bit too emotional or you picked up too many signs. So just need to
Overthinking.
yeah, overthinking. So you just need to learn how to manage them, and then embrace the good side of it. I think that's where I was at. Yeah. So I think reading up books as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yet again, back to the Courage to Be Disliked book. I think they talked a lot about self-acceptance, and they mentioned it was only at the point of time where you accept yourself is where you are able to move forward, right? So me being able to grow from where I am at, and also that doesn't mean complacency. That I think I was quite hesitant about that because I thought being okay with myself means I might no longer grow as a person. But that's not true,
Mm.
right? Because embracing yourself at the same time you can also grow. You can also strive for improvement, and I think that's a better way of framing your drive to be a better person or to be better at anything that you do, uh, rather than driving through fear. Yeah, like yet again, my perfectionistic self, I was always seeking for external validation. Um, so like, oh, I'm a good result because uh, I don't want to be perceived as someone that is not good enough. I don't want to be not good enough. All these kind of things. So definitely switching the mindset around helps to build courage, and that's where you turn your life around, I would say. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
second is embracing my emotions. I think it's quite similar to the first point, I would say. So like actually sitting with it, learning about what the emotions are telling me, learning how to filter what's true and what's not true, because sometimes emotions are like a gut feeling, right? And sometimes gut feeling might be wrong. So you just need to sit with it and just try to be honest with yourself and understand, okay, is it really because of this? If yes, then what? If no, then it's fine. Like, I mean,
Do you mind sharing
probably
how,
it's
how you
just,
do that? It sounds quite amazing. I think something I heard about it and then
uh,
I've been trying to do, but I don't know how.
I mean, this is also something that I'm still trying to learn.
Mm.
Um, I think it's just when you start to be honest with yourself, with how you feel, and also, okay, let's put an example here. So let's say I feel jealous about this person.
Mm.
Okay, so then you think little bit deeper, a layer down,
Mm.
where, okay, what am I jealous about this person? Oh, this person maybe has this quality that I want to have. And then you dig a little bit deeper and be like, okay, this is something that I want to have. Maybe I'm not really jealous of this person, but more of because I want to possess this quality, right? So in a way, you move your negative attrition to this person to this quality, and
I see.
you kind of separate the two things out, and you detach that negative connotation onto that person to away from that person, basically. And um, yeah, I mean, I I'm still trying to like grasp the whole thing, but trying
Hmm.
my best to actually explain about it. But that's the gist of it, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
something I'll try practicing. Amazing. That very true. I think yeah, it's a very cool way.
because there's always some inner desire that you want, that makes you
Definitely.
feel that certain way. So you just
Mm.
need to be honest with yourself, and as long as you are, maybe you can frame it in a positive way, right? Like, oh, I'm jealous of this person. Rather than that, you frame it as, oh, I want to have this quality that I see in this person, right? You see the contrast, right? One is like as a very negative. Another one you
Mm.
frame into something more positive. It's like, oh, I want to have this. I idolize him. Rather than I'm
Mm.
jealous of him, I idolize him. I idolize this quality of him, and I want to learn from him. Right. So
I
that's
see.
how I guess you kind of reframe things, and
Amazing.
like embracing my emotions is always about continue to be more introspective and be more self-aware. I think that's the first step of embracing our emotions. Just need to be more self-aware of how you feel and not push them away. Then the third one is something that I really still struggle with. Still trying to learn, which is trying to balance between other people's advices and what you truly want and what you truly think is right.
Mm.
Um, I noticed that I tend to take some advices as the absolute truth.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, so let's say you have your heart and mind, and
Mm.
they're your your heart is trying to reason with the mind part,
Mm.
where the mind part is taking, let's say I have this person that I look up to a lot, and then if that person says, tells you you should do this, you should do
Mm.
this, and then you take it as an absolute truth. But then your heart is saying otherwise, like, oh, but actually I want to do this. So then it kind of, you don't know how to actually balance things because you are kind of like in a cognitive dissonance where you don't know how, you're like in a analysis paralysis in a way
Mm.
where you don't know like what to do, right? You're stuck because no matter how much you reason with that mind of yours, it has already taken this as an absolute truth. So no matter how rational you kind of are unable to reason with it and move forward. So in a
Mm.
way, I think sometimes we need to put more context into any advices that you get or that I get, um, and try to just assess it myself in a way. Just there's a struggle I've had, which is to be comfortable with my own decisions.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, especially in an Asian household, we've always been spoon-fed with decisions, right? Oh, just do
Mm.
this. It was never
Mm.
like, oh, what do you want to do? Uh,
Even
like,
with the questions, they tend to be leading questions as well.
yes, yeah. So I think not having this autonomy since young has shaped me into seeking validation from people like, oh, should I do A? Should I do B? And then if let's say majority says B, then I'll just go ahead with B. And if I think it a little bit deeper, if my heart says A, but majority people says B, should I go for A or should I go for B? If I go for B, it would be the easy way out because if things go wrong, I would just blame it on other people, right? Like I wouldn't, in a way, it's a blessing because I don't need to blame myself, right? I'll just like, oh yeah, because people say B, so I went for B and I'm not gonna blame myself, right? But if I go for A and if A goes wrong, the B gets amplified, right? People say,
Mm.
I told you to go for B, why didn't you go for B? Right?
Yeah.
But if let's say A was the
Yeah.
right choice, you kind of you kind of just shove the initial fact where people just tell you to go with B, right? Like
Mm.
you don't give yourself enough credit, I would say. So I think
Mm. Okay.
this,
Okay.
like, in the whole essence, I'm just trying to mix advices from people and just decide what I feel is right for me,
Mm.
and just be comfortable with the choices that I make, and just learn from it. I would say, like, there's always this hidden thing inside my mind where I'm afraid of making the wrong choice. I would say
Mm.
so. This
Same. I mean,
fear,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So this fear kind of leads you to choosing the easy way out, right? Which is what people say, correct? So
Yes.
yeah,
Mm.
that's like the struggle that I have,
Mm.
which is balancing what other people say and what you want to do, like what your path. Because what other people say might just reflect on their path, like
Mm.
what they want to do, what they want to achieve. But let's say you have a different objective and you have your own path, you have your own life that you want to craft. It might not be the life that other people
Mm.
want. So you kind of need to balance things out and just see what's good for you, I would say. Yeah. And then
Mm. Yeah.
the
Even
fourth
for
part,
me. Oh.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. For me, like, cause I mean, right now I am unemployed, moving down to a expensive city and all this, which is very scary, and definitely there's always actually I have to be very grateful that my family and then my friend, most of them have been really supportive, but then for people that don't understand, definitely they'll tend to question me,
Yep.
like, what are you doing moving down to a more expensive city with no jobs and then thinking that you will be able to find one and all that kind of stuff, especially I am switching into another new
Yep.
industry. So very, very scary. And then there's always that choices, that voices in my head as well saying that, why not just stick to a normal path and then be safe
Yep.
and all this kind of stuff? Yeah, like be secure and all this. Everyone is doing well, that path. Like, why not you just do that?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, like even for myself, I am trying to live with it and be okay, and then of course trying to every day when I wake up, because now I'm practically retired, but then just don't have the money. I want to make sure that I make good use of my time every day, telling me that, yeah, you know, well, not really want to prove the other people wrong lah, but then since you made this decision,
Hmm.
make sure that you're putting your best effort into this decision yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But yet again, it's all about we also need to implement safeguards, right? Know when to
Mm.
stop, when to
Not
call
too
it
crazy.
quits.
Oh.
Yeah, like not to go
Mm.
all in kind of thing. I think that's what
Yes.
makes it more of a calculated risk. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I like that term. I love that term. I mean, like, I first heard that term in my from my dad, and then it has stuck with me since. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the other part is just like external perception and validation. I think this also goes back to what I mentioned just now, which is just not making decisions myself and just try to seek for external validation in terms of whether my decision is correct,
Mhm.
am I making the right choice, and not really basing it off what I actually want. So let's say I want choice A, but when I go to everyone, everybody says choice A is not the way to go. So
Mm.
then, I would go for choice B. And would I regret not doing choice A? That's also something that I need to consider. And yeah, I think all in all, still something that I'm trying to work on. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, lovely. Quite a lot of things, but I mean, like, it's. I believe it's quite more on the. Uh, yeah, pretty much it's all centers on like being quite balancing the uh being okay with myself, or like seeking like input from others and all that. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now that we've talked about the struggles, the sad
Yep.
part, the hard part, what is the one thing you love about yourself? It doesn't have to be big. It can be something really small, Yeah.
Uh, I think now it's just like being able to describe how I feel or the ability to articulate myself, my
Mm.
thoughts, especially like in the field of like psychology, philosophy, basically things that I love. I think this is I always enjoy like talking about all this because it's always fun to just share and also to understand from the other party, like just to connect with people that have the same, not really same, but I think same wavelength, I would say. So like I have also this friend um, who is a psychologist, clinical
Mm-hmm.
psychologist. So happenly, I've been meeting him every month, and it's
Oh,
always been lovely to talk to him about psychology, philosophy. Uh, yeah, it's just fun talking about this, and just helps you to reevaluate your thought process and so on. And I think just finding the group of people that you connect with and just engage with them. I think that's one part that I have been loving about what I do
mm-hmm.
recently. Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty much.
I love it. I love it. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, I mean recently as well, because yeah, just before I came down to London. I had a small farewell with my friend, and then because usually all this farewell kind of stuff, being friends, you try to invite everyone just to make sure that no one feel like they get left
Yeah,
outside of the friends group and all this kind of stuff. But then honestly, in every time within me, I know for sure I enjoy deeper conversation. What's the point of inviting 20 people when you
yeah,
only get to talk with 5 people? I mean, yeah, they feel included, but then I
yeah,
I feel like yeah, why
yeah,
why do that? So then I made the decision to be like, I this time I decided to be very 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 intentional, and then I just message a few very close one, very small
yeah,
group, and just invite. I want to make sure that I get to have conversation with everyone, and then like truly a
yeah,
farewell thing. It's not that I don't think the others as friends, just that like right now I prefer to talk about this topic, maybe surrounding my farewell
hmm,
and all this, and then you're not someone that I'll talk to in regards to this topic. Maybe we'll talk. I would love to find you, but we're talking about something else and all that. So yeah, something that I'm quite proud of that I achieved that. Yeah.
that's cool.
Mm. Yeah. But yes, thank you, Minyao, for joining, and then really being very honest, and then shared a lot about yourself. Especially, I love the part where you actually share about the struggles that you're going through, the things that you're trying to learn, and all that. They
Yeah,
are really amazing. But But honestly, I think something I do have to mention. I think the first struggle you mentioned that growing up you feel like you didn't fit in and all this. If it makes you feel any better, honestly, I think when I was in university, I quite admired you, like yours, like being MC, your social skills and all that. Honestly, yeah. I guess that is the thing. I guess I'm trying to do on this podcast as well, like realizing that
Yeah.
sometimes things are just not about how it looks externally. Like many people, like not just on social media, like many things are not shown out. Like how I was like, oh my god, you're legit like very admirable. Like when you're being on stage, doing MC and all that. So yeah,
Wow. I didn't know
honestly,
that.
yeah.
I same goes for me as well. Like I admire
Mm,
you for finding a startup and then growing it to actually quite a successful
mm,
state, I would say. And then I think even
mm,
getting into meta as well, I think
mm,
it's a very good uh achievement, I would say. Like something
mm.
admirable. Also starting this podcast, yeah, I
Yeah.
admire the effort and I hope it goes well.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that. So yes. Still, thank you for your time. Coming onto this podcast and then sharing so much. So, yes. If the audience would like to reach you, what would be the best way to reach you?
You can reach out to me on Instagram.
LinkedIn? Would you like to share that? Or no? Some people prefer not to.
LinkedIn, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
So I'll just put both of this link in the description below. So for any of the audience that would like to reach out to Minya, you can just do so. And yes, that brings us to the end of this podcast. So thanks everyone for listening to this point. So if you do enjoy, please leave us a rating. 5 star would be amazing, and then it would be great if you drop your a comment, any feedback, and then leave your social media handle there. I would love to just go ahead and thank you personally and have a conversation with you. So, yes, thanks for listening and see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Remember to subscribe to get notified as new episodes come out every Thursday, and please share this podcast to anyone you think would enjoy it. This is Andrew Kuan from Gen Z Journey.